Have you ever driven over a highway bridge and couldn't help but look below? Or stood on a shoreline's rocky ridge just to watch the water flow? And count yourself as one of the few with a different set of dreams, the kind that keeps you up at night, 'cause you can't wait to get to that stream. It's more than a river. It's more than the water flowing or where it's going. It's the grip on the paddle and the shift in the saddle, the V in the boulders and the lean in the shoulders. When you reach for the eddy, it doesn't get better than this. Yes, it's more. So much more than a river.
Hello and welcome, everybody. We are live with Cross Currents Leadership. We are live on Facebook, Substack, and YouTube. We're doing this every Sunday and Wednesday night over these winter months for just 15 minutes at a pop, talking to leaders across paddle sports and outdoor recreation and giving you the golden nuggets of information that are going to really help you level up your paddle sports leadership for 2026. Tonight, I am so excited. Y'all have just no idea. I am so excited to welcome Kelly Davis, who is the Director of Research for the Outdoor Industry Association and their nonprofit arm, the Outdoor Foundation. Kelly, thank you so much for doing this. I know you have just come straight in from a flight, and I feel so lucky to have you here with us tonight.
It gave me a reason, to speed a little on the way home. So.
Guys, I want you to fully understand something. I have been fangirling over Kelly Davis's work for a long time. Not to make it about me, but I worked my way through college, proofreading the crosstabs of the NBC Wall Street Journal polls and studies and writing the script for Katie Couric about the methodology and the key takeaways. And I know just enough to be dangerous, but Kelly's got more than 25 years experience and more than a decade focused on the outdoor sector. And I know you're particularly engaged in snow sports, but really you understand the outdoor consumer and what they're doing. And your specialty is really adapting the methodology to meet the challenges of a new age and to get insights nobody else has been able to get to. And you added some layers of insight in your annual outdoor trends, participation trends report this last year that are just phenomenal. Can you talk just a little bit about how you were able to get to this additional insight?
Yeah, the participation study has been going since 2007. And it's really consistent, and that makes it trendable, and we've all the data in is comparable, which is great. But one of the things that I sniffed in the data for about 5 to 7 years was an increase in the number of participants that we have, but a decrease in the frequency of their participation, which is how we used to measure core. Only that. It was only a frequency metric. That's it. And it was based, we had a threshold for every single activity, including paddle sports. That was pretty low, actually. The super core people, there's no way that if you do it more than 13 times, you're a core. That's crazy. But that's how we do it. And that's the metric that we had forever. And what I was noticing that there was a major change in that because of the number of participants that were entering the market. My God, we've had more than 27 million people join the outdoor participant base since the pandemic happened. That is huge. It's just a vast increase in the number of Americans, and it's almost 60% of Americans are participating now. But I just smelled the archetypes changing. Where we used to, if you just close your eyes and imagine someone paddling, you're going to see someone in your head, and you can. We all know who you're seeing. Right? We have an idea of who that is, especially if you're thinking like the most core person. I know exactly who you're seeing. That's right. And so we worked with Switchback. They funded the study. We worked to discuss what we were looking for in this study. And in the beginning, we were talking about retail behavior. How are we getting consumers to various channels of various sales channels, including independent specialty, with a little bit of a particular focus on independent specialty. How were consumers thinking? What were they doing? And I ended up thinking, I need to know more about how our consumers are approaching outdoor to figure out exactly what their consumer journey is. So we developed this study to go further than the participation study. So it's a completely different data set. And we surveyed a little more than 6,000. And this was 6,000 people from various parts of the United States. We definitely look for a geographic balance. We look for various quotas in different demographics. So it looked like this little sample of 6,000 looked like the outdoor participant base. And then we asked them all kinds of questions. And there are three things that we looked at to redefine core, right? We looked at frequency again, right? We wanted to know if it actually correlated. And I worked with civic science. They've got a whole bunch of PhDs and stuff that helped me do this to build a scale of intensity of approach, which is really aggression. You think about it. And so at the bottom of the scale was, I only go hiking every once in a while. At the top of the scale is I'm shredding trails and dominating mountains. And it ran the gamut between that. So we ended up actually with a bunch of different segments from this because it correlated incredibly well. Like the people that were most aggressive in their approach also spent the most and also participated the most frequently. So we got to that. It turned out, though, that we ended up with just 7% of our consumer base that fits into that aggressive core, dominate, shred, epic adventures. I'm out here doing this. So it's a pretty small group. And then in the middle, we found 50%. 50% of our consumers were in sort of active segments where they're participating frequently and they were spending about 30% less than the core, but they were almost as frequent in their participation. And they were looking for a little bit different experience where the core was looking for excitement and confidence and happiness. Everybody wants happiness. That was the number one answer. And we asked them what they were looking to feel outdoors. This group was looking more for things like happiness and balance and calm and excitement, a little bit of excitement. That was sort of the last one. And then as you get down to casual, which is about 42% of the market, they're looking for a good time, man, which is awesome. They're looking for, it's a happy, calm, and balanced. And so think about this, 92% of the market fits into that active or casual category, which means their approach is just not that aggressive. And the frequency of participation goes down as they become more casual about it. But what we found is that these consumers don't want significantly different things when it comes to product. And we looked at apparel, we looked at footwear, we looked at gear. Core is looking in slightly different places. Like they're not going to Costco, or they're not going to mass market to get their Target to get their stuff. Like, hey, my family's going on a camp out. I think I'll just go to Costco and grab a tent and all that for that activity. Core is going more to specialty, direct to consumer, and Amazon. Everybody's going to Amazon first. But so we found these sort of vast differences in attitude and vast differences in spend between these groups. And it was fascinating to see. And what it really wrecked was that stereotype that 20% of our consumers are responsible for 80% of our sales. That is just not true anymore. And the consumer that represents the most money is not the core consumer. When you look at, when you do the math, and you can do really simple math on this. I did the simple math. And because we did average spend rather than median, it ends up looking really big. But the point is that 90% of the market is casual or in that active zone. Like there's a health and fitness segment. And they're not super aggressive about outdoors, but they're throwing weight all the time, right? They're in the gym. And then they go for a trail run or a hike every once in a while, or they go camping. And they're just sort of a regular consumer, but their approach is a little bit different. What they're worried about is their body. Right? They want to feel good. They want their mental health to be good, their physical health to be good, and they want to look good. So, you can see these differences, like sort of subtle differences in what each of these segments wants out of their outdoor experience. But it was sort of fascinating to see how interesting the casual group was. They're looking for community outdoors, and they're like soft hikers that take snacks and take pictures of bees and stuff. I love them. They're beautiful people. And they're still looking for gear and apparel and stuff that's durable, that's quality, that's right for it, but maybe they're not going to buy a giant kit of stuff to go hiking, right? They need shoes. And because we're in a K-shaped economy right now, which means some people are doing really well. Like 20% are spending like drunken sailors. I love them. They're fantastic. And then the middle, and maybe I sit in the middle, I don't know, but we're just hanging on, right? I mean,
we're holding on for that impulse purchase a little longer.
Right? How do my fingernails look, Andrea?
Yeah.
Do they look like they've been ragged from just trying to hang on? I mean, even in the retail market for outdoor, we're only down about 1-2% on the 12-month rolling basis, right? When we got to the end of the year, it wasn't the greatest year. I mean, we've got a lot of pressure in the market, but I did see a lot of big spenders and then a lot of hanging on. But we're down about 1 or 2% dollars sold, but down about 7% in units sold for Q4, and that was apparel specifically. So I mean, looking at things that are bellwether, and apparel represents
it's indicative.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the market's super interesting. It's a K-shaped economy where you target the wealthy, just make them spend stuff because they're the ones that are spending.
Well, and I'm going to pull up a slide here for a second and we can delve in a little bit, but I want to first highlight, we're going to have your colleague Les Duncan on 1 week from tonight.
Yes.
And I know Les is going to come and talk to us about some of the demographics and the changing demographics and the way we can do community outreach to engage them. But let's keep talking a little bit more about these sort of psychographics of the spend and the segments.
Yeah.
Because, and I know this doesn't really do your justice to your work because you did really detailed work on 9 separate segments. And in the show notes, everybody, I've linked an article where I looked at some of her work. I've linked a webinar where you can watch Kelly in action presenting the detail of her work. But just to give you an order of magnitude of what we're talking about here, here's those 3 segments you talked about. That's that 42% of the casual market, that 50% of the active market, that 5% of the core market. And I extrapolated over here on the right for what that means for paddle sports, just as an order of magnitude, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking about 2 million people spending about $4 billion in paddle sports. And if our paddle sports companies are spending 100% of their marketing budget trying to get a decreasing share of that segment, and they're not creating a pathway for how they're going to get to the other 33 million people and the other $50 billion of spending, they're missing out because that's where the big money is.
Yeah, I mean, you can focus on core. Core's going to stay. They're going to hang around. They're going to be there. They're going to be, doing the most aggressive things possible, and it's awesome. But yeah, the big money is in casual and active. It is.
Yeah.
And so if you're following I like to follow the money. I mean, I stalk the money. That's what I do.
Well, and my heart and soul is in that education aspect. I speak in terms of the skills gap, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really feel like what we're seeing is again parallel in the marketplace. There's a skills gap between the casual and active paddlers and their next adventure. If we can get them curious about their next adventure, they're also going to get curious about skills. They're going to get curious about better gear. They're going to get curious about better boats. We can create a pipeline.
Yes. You can build community too.
Yeah. Not to mention, right?
Yeah.
So, well, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate the heart and soul and detail you put into your work. It affects my work all the time. And I tell everybody that will listen about it.
Thanks. And frankly, I do everything I can to make sure that we get the best data. I mean, I'm mediocre. The data's stellar, right?
Yeah. The data is incredible.
I'm very lucky to have several really good data sets and to have developed a couple of good data sets in partnership with others, including Switchback. And we're looking to do some more of that in the coming year. And I think it's going to be fantastic and looking deeper into the consumer psyche. I love the consumer psyche. They're crazy right now. I love them.
Yeah. They are. So, guys, in the show notes, as I said, I've linked to the library of reports that Kelly and her team have put together in terms of the annual reports. I also linked to the article that I wrote, sort of highlighting some of her work, and I linked to a recent webinar she did, so you can see her tell the story in much greater detail than we can go into tonight. Kelly, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for putting up with my, I'll be there in 5 minutes, I swear. I'm a mile away from my house. Thank you so much.
All right. So, guys, before we wrap up real quick, this coming Sunday, we're going to have Lili Colby from Mustang Survival, and she is going to be talking about when is it appropriate for paddlers to wear an inflatable PFD. And we're going to cover all the edges of this edgy topic. And I really want to thank everybody who's followed Cross Currents Leadership in this live series we're doing on all channels. Those of you who have figured out the secret sauce, if you sign up on Substack, then you get the email updates and you can watch the videos from your email with the recordings. And thank you, heartfelt thanks to those of you who upgraded from the free Substack subscription to throw a little support towards our work and keep me caffeinated. It means the world to me that you support the work that we're doing here. And thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So thank you, Kelly, and I'll see everybody Sunday.